Hi angels, this is Leia, and today we have a special two-part video for you. So originally this was going to be focused on a reading that someone won, and it was going to be about love life insights. Now quite a few of you have been letting me know that you really enjoy the layouts or spreads, that sort of video, so I figured that I would turn this into that kind of video for you. But I also wanted to give something to those of you who really enjoy the readings. So we're beginning by doing a really brief choose your own card sort of reading. Just pick 1, 2, or 3. And this isn't going to be like one of those longer videos of that sort. We'll keep that part brief, and you don't have to stay for the second part of the reading if you're not here to take a look at the kind of layout we'll use for the Love Life Insights reading. Ready? So, for the first part, we're using the Romance Angels Oracle deck by Doreen Virtue. So I'll say it again. Just choose 1, 2, or 3. What are you drawn to? Now the cards were shuffled prior to filming with the intention that everyone watching this receives a message. Something uplifting, something helpful. It doesn't matter to what degree it is, if it's majorly life-changing or just something that helps make your day brighter somehow. Are you ready? Now let's go. So I just want to say before we proceed that these mini love messages apply on many different levels. They don't just have to do with romantic relationships. So it doesn't matter if you're single, in a relationship, looking for a relationship, or even if you've decided to not be in a relationship at the moment. That said, here's card number 1. If you chose this card, you got Healing Family Issues. Your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. If this card chose you, your mini message involves taking a look at some aspects of the past that still affect you to this day. So obviously, family issues will affect your love life and the kind of relationships you have with others, even if it's with friends or with people you work with, because our model for relating, after all, is the family we grew up in. So it's time to do a little bit of releasing and time to be honest too with yourself about certain things that you might have run away from in the past because maybe they hurt or it wasn't time yet for you to process them back then. If it feels like too much to handle at any time, you can stop there and at least be honest with yourself that you're still dealing with stuff. It's okay. All of us have issues and baggage. And another time will come up, maybe in the near future, maybe in the not so near future, when you'll have another opportunity to work on what still needs to be released and let go of. For those of you who chose number 2, this is your card. Honeymoon. Enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. With this card, it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or not. This could be referring to your need to just retreat from the world if you're not in a relationship with anyone at the moment, because we always are in a relationship with ourselves after all. And if you are in a relationship, this could be a good time to just maybe go on a staycation, or if you're not planning on doing that, at least making a conscious effort to spend more time with the one you love. It's really easy to get caught up in the hullabaloo of everyday life, and sometimes it does a world of good just to reconnect again. And if you're not with someone right now, then reconnecting with ourselves is always a good thing after we feel like we've gotten lost in being too busy and we just don't know anymore who we are sometimes. So if you've been preoccupied a little too much with others' needs, or even what you perceive to be your own needs, but you're not really connecting with that inner, deeper part of yourself, maybe now's a good time again to even simply take a break. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just know that you deserve this, and it will help you all the more in your regular everyday life when you come back rested and refreshed. Everyone who chose card number 3, this is what you got. getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. Now it seems with everything we have going on around us, maybe you've seen it among your friends or people you know, or even on TV, in the magazines, it looks like people just move too fast these days when it comes to relationships. So it's no wonder that many of these don't really last as long as we would like them to, because we get a little too close or a little too intimate with people even before we've decided or found out if they're worth knowing or if we really like them in the first place. So if you have standards about waiting quite a while before you get close to someone, as in really close, this doesn't have to do with being cordial or being friendly, but really opening your heart or giving your heart to someone, don't feel bad about that. And again, as I stated earlier in the video, this doesn't just apply to love relationships or romantic relationships. Sometimes even the people that we choose to be friends with, well, not just sometimes, but all the time really. These friendships affect our life on a really deep level, so it only makes sense that we get to know someone first before getting too close or too familiar with them. If you're a pretty private person, don't feel bad about needing a little bit of space from other people, just to figure out how you want the relationship to evolve and how much you're really willing to give of yourself. Because if you don't do that, maybe you've experienced in the past that you love a little too much and you get hurt or you feel resentful when you don't get the same back. It's always better to build a good foundation than to rush into something and give so much of yourself only to see later that it wasn't at all what you wanted after all. That concludes the first part of our video. Thanks so much for watching that. Now this next segment is for those of you who enjoy the layout or spread type videos. And like I mentioned earlier, this one is about finding more insights into your love life or into your way of loving. And the subject of this reading is someone who won a contest. She knows who she is, so I'm not going to mention any names in this video. But for the rest of you, you can get a lot of value in this by taking a look at the positioning of the cards, etc., etc. Now I'm giving credit to Sasha Graham for this layout. It comes from her book, 365 Tarot Spreads. Let me give you a quick look. That's what it looks like in case you're interested. And for this part, we're using one of my favorite card decks ever, the Osho Zen Tarot. And you know this if you've seen some of my videos from the past. I've done a review on this card deck, so if you have a personal tarot practice or you're starting tarot, looking for new decks to work with, take a look at my review of this deck. I'm gonna post the link in the description box. So for cards number 1 and 2, which are all the way to the left, we have receiving and accepting. The very first card is, what blocks me from receiving love? And we have the 9 of Fire, exhaustion. So the 9 of Fire, which is the 9 of Wands in traditional tarot, is about having our guard up. It's about not feeling safe, so we're always trying to protect something. And this could very well have to do, of course, with past experiences. If you've been hurt in the past, and, you know, who of us hasn't, then you're more likely to be very careful about getting involved or about just loving people in general. Now the thing about this card is, sure, when we have our guard up, we do block out a lot of possible negative experiences from happening, but it's a two-way street. We also are closed to a lot of loving experiences. The appearance of this card is an indication to start opening up a little bit more. And this doesn't mean that you're not an open person. In fact, the reason why you put your guard up to begin with is because you're quite possibly a very tender-hearted person, very giving, very loving, and to a lot of people around you, in fact, it might not seem like you have your guard up, but really take a look at the ways in which you've closed yourself off or are being super extra careful. There's nothing wrong with being careful, but sometimes we tend to take it to a more extreme level where we keep ourselves from having these wonderful experiences that we would have if we just open ourselves up a little bit more. So take the time to maybe do a little bit of shadow work and explore the reasons why you may not be letting love in to your life as much as you'd want to. Or you do let it in, but only to a certain extent. We could be wondering, why haven't I found the right match for me yet? Or why are all the people that I meet not meeting my expectations or my standards, or not good for me? But if we really be honest with ourselves, all these things that happen are just reflections of what's going on inside of us at a deeper level. If you've heard of the expression, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, I believe the same thing to be true when it comes to our relationships. When we're ready, truly ready, our readiness on the inside will be reflected to us by the situations on our outside. So card number 2 is an answer to the question, what can I proactively do to open myself to receive more love? And we have the 10 of Rainbows. We are the world. Now this is an extension of card number 1. The 10 of Rainbows in traditional tarot is the 10 of Pentacles, for those of you watching this who are beginning your tarot practice. And this card is about reaching that level of success and contentment. So relating that to the question about proactively opening yourself to receiving more love, this card appears to be giving you the advice to think of your dreams, think of all the good things that you've always wanted for yourself. Let's say sharing your life with someone and the kind of life surrounding that. Maybe it's time for you to re-examine those and see which of them still apply to you today, so that you can give your time and energy to that dream again. Not to say that you're only gonna dream, you're gonna be stuck there and not actually do anything about it, but this is part of that inner work that we were talking about earlier. When you focus on what you want to happen, that's one step closer to actually getting it. Because if you don't know what you want, how can you work towards making that a reality? So allow yourself to dream again. I know that the first card talks about being guarded and all that, but the second card is encouragement to go for it, even if it might seem silly to a part of you right now, or even to other people. What you want is what you want. The things that fulfill you are those that really make your heart sing. So don't deny yourself that. And it's different for everybody. So go ahead and allow yourself to reconnect with that happiness, that vision of what you truly want. And not to settle for just whatever comes along, or what comes along that is, sort of good enough, but not quite good enough. Really allow yourself to have what you want. Give yourself permission. Of course, this isn't like the end-all, be-all answer to your situation about having a really good love relationship that fulfills you and makes you happy, but it is one step closer to that. Now cards 3 and 4 are discharging and offering. Card number 3 asks the question, what blocks me from giving love? And we have the 5 of Rainbows, the outsider. Now this card in this particular spread or reading appears to refer to a fear of being an outcast or alone, and this is the 5 of Pentacles, by the way, in traditional tarot. If you've seen the picture on the 5 of Pentacles in a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it's two people out in the cold, alone, suffering, starving, and this card from the Osho Zen deck actually shows somebody who looks like he's locked out. But if you take a close look, the lock isn't locked all the way, indicating to us that it is in our power to put ourselves out there, that it only is an illusion that we are blocked off from the rest of the world. So a good question to really ask yourself is, why on a certain level do you keep yourself away from others? And like I said earlier, it might not even seem that way on the outside. A lot of social butterflies don't really allow themselves to get close to people, like really close on a deeper level. It's only on a surface level that they connect with others. So it's not even a real connection, it's a very surface level one. So back to what I was saying earlier about this card referring to a fear. And it's very understandable. Many of us have deep-seated fears about not being good enough, and that's why we decide not to really give of ourselves, because we're just trying to protect ourselves from getting hurt in case what we give turns out to be not enough for the other person. And you know, it's not that it isn't enough. It very well could be that that's just not the right person or just not the right relationship. And there's no reason why we should allow experiences like that to keep us from moving forward. But of course, the reality is, it happens. And this card is just drawing to your awareness now that it's time to heal those fears. Time to reassure yourself that just because you've been hurt in the past doesn't mean it has to keep happening. And it's true, sometimes it becomes a pattern, but that's only because it's become ingrained in our subconscious in some way, and letting go of that is what will create the kind of consciousness that now attracts a better love experience. So card number 4 is, how can I offer more love to those around me? So card number 4 is, how can I offer more love to those around me? And our card is the Ace of Clouds, consciousness. In traditional tarot, the Ace of Clouds is the Ace of Swords. It's time for you to go deep within yourself and really see how you can contribute. What about you is special and unique? Sometimes we forget that because we get so caught up in familiarity blindness and we don't even know it. But if we take a step back and really see ourselves as an outsider who cares about us, then that would give us a better perspective on our talents. And I'm getting the feeling that you are not really living to your full potential in the sense of your worth isn't really getting exercised fully. And I know that's true for a lot of us, if not all of us, but this is coming up now for you because it's time to examine just how you can really exercise your value more fully. There might be talents or skills that you're really good at or that you would love to be doing instead of what you're doing now, but they're put on the back burner because you chose what seemed more logical or practical, or sometimes we just lose our passion for things because we've been let down, but we don't really lose the passion. It's more like it goes to sleep, or we put it aside because we're protecting ourselves. We don't want to feel disappointed again if somebody discourages us or says something negative about what we do. But just remember, the work that we do on earth has nothing to do with those who don't appreciate it. We have to remember that what we do is for those who value it, who benefit from it. And just remember all the times that somebody told you that you helped them a lot or changed their lives somehow by saying what you did or doing what you did. And these really are the people that we should keep in mind as to why we should continue what makes us happy and what we're very passionate about. So either go inside of yourself or step back from yourself, whichever one of those helps you more. And really take a look at yourself from a higher perspective. Don't view you as your ego does. See yourself as, like I mentioned earlier, someone who cares about you would. What is awesome about you? What is special about you? And begin exercising that more in your interactions with other people. Those you are meant to be close to are those who will appreciate it. So those who don't, it only goes to show that they aren't really meant to be in your life, or you're not supposed to be close to them anyway. And this is a great way of cutting out from your life those who aren't good for you to begin with. And so to close the reading, we have what the layout calls a wild card. What surprise does my heart have in store? And it is number 8 from the Major Arcana, Courage. This is a super powerful card to end your reading with. If you notice, it's the only card from the Major Arcana. All the other ones were Minor Arcana cards, and they're all insightful. They all have something to contribute, but a Major Arcana card is really calling your attention to something huge and powerful. For beginning tarot practitioners, in the traditional tarot system, number 8, Courage, is number 8, Strength. In some card decks, 8 is Justice, but that's another story altogether. Alright, so if you take a look at the picture on the card, you'll see this flower blossoming out of a rock. That isn't exactly a prime setting or condition for that to happen, and yet the point that this card is making is you can be this strong, beautiful person even after everything that you've been through. And you are. You just have to get in touch with that. And it's reassurance, it's encouragement that you can do this, that you can live a beautiful life, regardless of your fears, regardless of any issues that you've had in the past when it comes to love and relationships. You can do this, no matter how many disappointments you've lived through. In fact, that sort of experience only gets you all the more ready for an even better kind of experience to happen, because now that you're stronger and you've been there, done that, you have a better idea of what you want out of life, and you're in a better position to attract healthier situations into your life. Sometimes we allow fears to get in the way, and our shadow side discourages us from living our full potential and being with people that are actually good for us. And sometimes we just keep ourselves closed, as was mentioned earlier in the reading, from really good situations, better situations than we've been in. But it doesn't have to be like that. Everything we've ever been through in the past prepares us for this moment in time, where we are at the moment, and we only really have right now. Even though we're not trivializing the past and saying that whatever happened back then was back then and there's no reason to think about it anymore. Because personally, even though I don't believe in wallowing, I think that we should deal with the past since it affects our present. Still, you're being told that this bright future ahead of you can happen. All these things that you dream about and that you wish for yourself, for your highest good, they can happen. So allow yourself that. Give yourself that. It's a gift from you to yourself. And at this point, for those of you watching this who want to know how to use this spread to read somebody else, you can end this reading by, aside from summing things up really quickly, asking the person that you're reading for to draw an oracle card. And I'm doing just that for the subject of our reading. I'm shuffling the deck right here, right now. This is the one card that wasn't pre-picked prior to filming, and I'm feeling drawn to this top one right here. It is Finances and Career. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. What I'm feeling this card is about, as applies to our particular reading, is you, dear subject of the reading, might be feeling as though your hopes and dreams for the kind of relationship you want might be getting in the way of your success on a material level, and vice versa. And this is basically just reassurance that the two of them don't have to be mutually exclusive. It's true that sometimes we have to balance certain aspects, individual aspects of our lives first, before we can integrate them successfully, but that's just something to keep in mind, that it can happen. Sometimes it feels like we are juggling when there's so much going on already in one aspect of our life, and then, we think, what, on top of all this, I have to deal with this too. But it doesn't have to be that way. The right relationship will fall into place. Sometimes it's not that effortless, but things will sort themselves out. If something is meant to be on a divine level, then it will happen in divine timing. It could also be sometimes that the person that we're supposed to have a really healthy, loving, wonderful relationship with, we already met that person before, but the timing wasn't right. I'm not saying that that's the case in this particular situation. I was just giving an example. But like I mentioned earlier, this card is reassuring you that it can happen. You can be successful and have your dreams come true, if that was a concern, while at the same time having a really good personal life as well. And that's it, angels, for this video. Thank you so much for joining me, and for those who watched the entire video, thank you if you're still here. I know that some of you only watched the first part, in which case, you know, you're not even hearing me say this, but some of you watched everything, and some of you might have only watched the second segment. But in any case, thanks so much. If you enjoyed this, be sure to share it with anyone else you think will benefit, and go ahead, save it to your favorites list so you can watch it again in the future. Leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you again really soon. Take good care of yourself. Namaste, and bye for now.